Alright, y'all, so we back with another video, and the title of this video will be Less is More. And the reason that will be the title today is because I definitely took way too many trades in my personal opinion. Like I mentioned in one of my prior videos, if I'm taking anywhere upwards of like 6, 7, 8, like when I start getting that range, that's usually not a good thing. I did finish the day slightly profitable. Well, let's just say profitable. And despite that, I still felt like I could have handled the day better. So even though you finish green, you gotta look at everything holistically. You gotta ask yourself, did you follow your plan? Are you trading within your system? Did you revenge trade, over leverage, stuff like that. All of those things play a factor into your long-term success. So I took 9 trades today. I took some trades down here, took some trades in this area here. I took some trades here also. So if you've seen my video from Sunday, I would definitely advise to go watch my video from Sunday, and you could appreciate what we're looking at a lot more if you watch Sunday's video. So these red levels are all monthly levels. This one right here is the midpoint between this monthly low and this monthly level. So now, with that being said, all our monthly levels was hit. I mentioned on Sunday, the last week of the month, you're going to see volatility and you're going to see big movements in the markets. So that goes for the last week and the first week of the month. So you got to be mindful of that. And going into this week, I definitely was mindful of that. And there was a lot of good moves in the market today. So with that being said, let's just get right into it. Let me see. I'll show you guys my X. No, we'll do that afterwards. We had a really nice 1 minute fair value gap. This first presented 1 minute fair value gap, especially if you're targeting these lows right here, this was a really nice move. And then this was the weekly fill on a weekly level. So this was a weekly fair value gap. So let's go up in time frames. I have this measured out because I feel like we might reach into this 50% of this range over the last few weeks. So this is our weekly fair value gap here. You see we got the complete fill. So all of my targets initially were already hit. So where the market will go now, I'm not entirely sure for the rest of this week. So it's important now at this point, just stay nimble and just take what price action is given, because we're seeing a lot of rejection at these levels and kind of expected to. So no real big surprise as far as the rejection goes. So with that being said, there was some really nice runs going lower. And if you pay attention to the time that we're doing this, so I did try to sell short at a short position, I believe here. Yes, I had a short position here. My position ended up getting stopped out. I was devastated at the time. It was unexpected. So we had our short position, ended up getting stopped out. I believe this was a short position here, but ended up getting stopped out. So I had 2 contracts in. The first contract didn't fill me. One of my contracts didn't fill, and then my second contract ended getting filled afterwards. But I already had one contract, and at stop loss, I had set my stop loss already for that one contract. We came, spiked up, waked up. I got stopped out, and then my second contract activated. So we had that sell off, and I ended up breaking even because I was anticipating for this to get hit, these levels to be hit. So now also, and coming into the day, I was already down 125 after Asian session. I had lost during Asian session. So with that being said, we kept trading higher. I also had another position here. I decided to go long after we swept these lows here, these intermediate lows at 7. Because if you pay attention to 7, so this is where I typically like to pick out my trades. So if you pay attention to 7, we swept this intermediate buy side, this minor buy side, we went lower. Then we swept this minor sell side, and you can see we closed above these 4 down close candles. So this is an order block. We closed above it, had a fair value gap, trade higher. So this trade right here, I believe I took profit around this area. That took me out of just about break even for the day. And then I attempted again, I re-entered again. I entered again around this area, attempting to either try to trade into this 1 hour gap here, but we failed to go higher and we started to sell short. Mind you, I already had this bias of going short, and I did miss this opportunity. There was some hesitation in my thought process, so I have to own up to that. So that's why I missed this opportunity. And it was smooth, easy, nice to give us a nice run. Now, where I started over trading, we did have a news driver at 10. So had we not had that news driver, because oftentimes I like to, especially if the market is just gonna keep running lower, you'll see by 9:50 we retrace. So in that first 30 minutes, we're creating the opening range. So that first 30 minutes after 9:30, we're creating the open range. So with that being said, here, this high to this low, made at 9:47. We formed a fair value gap and went over this fair value gap here. So this became an inversion. We inverted. And now I wanted to go long. Attempted to go long, stopped out. Attempted to go long again, stopped out. Attempted to go long again, lost. So these were break evens. This was a loss. So now, I'm taking these losses. And keep in mind, we did have that news driver at 10. And oftentimes, this is something to really make note of. You want to wait 15 minutes after news driver, and then you can trust the lower time frames. You don't want to trust the 1 minute, 5 minute time frame within those first 15 minutes of news driver. If you're already in a trade, you're already well in the trade before the news driver, fine, but you don't want to just keep trying to get in afterwards. And that was, my mistake. But I seen we made one more low. We swept lower. So we already have our opening range. We swept lower. And I was at that point, I was just targeting this 15 minute, this 15 minute fair value gap that formed here. So I'm gonna delete this because I know it's a lot on the chart right now. Let's hide some of this stuff. So you can see this fair value gap here. We have this candle, this large expanded candle, and this candle formed a fair value gap. So we have all of this range. I'm anticipating for at least this 15-minute inefficiency to be targeted. So now we did that. We formed another fair value gap around the news driver. So this was the fair value gap I took when it became an inversion, and I went long here and we caught this nice run. Yes, we kept trading higher, but honestly, during my mental state, and we have these smooth, relatively equal highs, but during my mental state, I'm just trying to get that low hanging fruit objective. I already wanted to go short. I missed the short opportunities, fine. And you can use this as a testament that there's so many opportunities in the market, even if you miss your initial opportunity. But the main thing is really just to be patient. If you miss one bus, You just have to wait for the next bus to come around. You don't have to start chasing the bus you missed. Another bus will arrive and another bus will come around. So that's all I have for today. As far as NQ goes, I will show gold. Gold ended up going lower also. So we also had a big gap open and we started trading lower for gold. And we took out Friday's low by Tuesday. So Monday and Tuesday happen quickly. Sometimes the target get hit early in the week, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Other times you have to wait later. Yeah, it might get hit Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday later on in the week. So it really just depends on the week and staying on beat. You really want to stay on beat and watch price action, see if price action is giving you what you're looking for. And if not, then don't execute it. But name of game today is less is more, and definitely be more patient. But patience is always a virtue when it comes to trading. Let's look at ES. ES failed to make new lows. So we have NQ going lower and lower, but ES failed to even take out its previous day's low. That's something notable to make note of. And we also have to be aware of the news drivers we have for this week. So this is gonna be the last thing I go over. So we have funds rate and FOMC on Wednesday. Tomorrow we have core PCE. So a lot of these things, red folder, high impact, and more. We have unemployment costs, consumer sentiment on Friday. And I really don't care for what the numbers are. I just want to know what we have volume for this week. And that's what the news driver does. So we could potentially, honestly, we could still see these lows being hit. Like how smooth it is. I would not be surprised we come back and start trading lower. This is the new week opening gap here. So we need to be mindful of that. If we keep trading above it, I would like to see these highs. These are some relatively equal highs. If we could sweep that, that would be nice, a nice move. But that'll be all for this video. And until next time, I hope everybody having a great day. Love.